Welcome to our Biz Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Cuthbert, Creative Director at Baker Creative. Michael Ferriter became the first president and chief executive officer of the National Veterans Memorial Museum in 2018. Previously, he served in the U.S. Army for 35 years, retiring in 2014 as a lieutenant general responsible for 75 locations, 75,000 people, and $12 billion budget. He then founded his own company, the Ferriter Group, LLC. He received a bachelor's degree from the Synodad, a master's degree in administration from Central Michigan University, and was named a Tufts University Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy Senior National Defense Fellow. Welcome.
Welcome to our podcast, Lieutenant General Mike Ferriter. We so appreciate your time to come in and join us, and we want to talk about, the Veterans Memorial today, and you have a great story, and you guys really invest into the community, and we really are fans of the work, and so we appreciate your time.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here with you. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you. So what do you think is the greatest challenges facing veterans today?
Without a doubt, the biggest challenge is the transitioning from their military life into the communities, and so when they're serving, there are a number of things that are occurring. One, when they serve, they have purpose and a mission. It's very clearly defined. They have men and women that they are responsible to care for, and it's very, very important to them. That means they're connected to both purpose and people, right? And so, and they have a self-image of who they are. I'm a Marine Lance Corporal, or I'm a Lieutenant General, or I'm, Staff Sergeant Duclair, Mortar Sergeant. That picture's really clear. And then, now, to be a veteran, you have to serve in the U.S. military, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you can serve your first term, 4 years, or you can serve beyond 4 years, or you can serve to retirement date of 20 years. So veterans are not a monolithic group. They're really diverse and come from all walks of life and all races, all parts of our country. As they leave, then they're prepared by programs for how to write a resume, how to do an interview, and all that. And then it feels like, now I'm an Army paratrooper and a special ops ranger. It feels like you've jumped out of the airplane with no parachute. Wow. So I have 200 parachute jumps with the Army Rangers, and with no reserve and no parachute, you feel like you're free falling at first. Mm-hmm. And even if you have job interviews, even if you have a job. So the biggest challenge is for them to find those key things again, to be connected with others, to have purpose, and then to have that identity. And they find their way over time. But it's a moment of truth time period in their life. Those who don't are the ones that you hear about have suicide, have depression, and some come out with PTSD. Not all, not even a majority, but you add those combinations. And so our audience can hire a vet, can onboard them, can ensure that the transition is good. And they may be in their third job after leaving, right? But it's still completely, a new language to them in some cases. But they've shown that they're proven winners. They've shown that they can get out of mom's basement. They've shown they can get out of basic training. They've shown they can assume roles in our military, and they can deploy to faraway places and be men and women of integrity and character. And now they're just coming back to find how they work into our communities.
So for non-military families, how can we best support the people in the military and their families? Because it's a lot.
Yeah, it is. Probably the simplest way is people don't care what you know until they know that you care. Mm-hmm. And so the best way is to show you care. And we often hear in the airports, veterans or kids, and they're all kids to me now, kids in uniform, and someone says, thanks for your service. I try to lead everyone to say, thanks for our freedom as well. And that's just a kind gesture. And that's something that our Vietnam veterans did not get. And so we're in a pretty good place with American society, American people, and the goodwill of America. And just keep it alive, keep it rolling, because probably within 2 degrees of separation, everyone who hears this podcast knows a veteran or has a veteran who's a brother, sister, granddad, father, mother. So they're all just great people, and just reach out and say thanks a lot. And then if you have a business, you should have a veteran employee resource group, and allow them to talk among themselves, and also to help get them integrated. And if you have Army reservists and National Guardsmen, they will need to be called up and to duty every once in a while. So a lot of really great companies assign sort of an ambassador of sorts to watch over the family while the service member, goes to 2 weeks of summer camp, or is actually called up and goes to Kuwait or deploys overseas somewhere else. So those are some of the simple ways.
So then, as far as say a corporate or a small business wanted to put together one of those resource groups, where would they go to get support, or how to even start that?
Then come to us, come to nationalvmm.org, nationalvmm.org, and or our Facebook site, and or our website, and ask for help. We're glad to do it.
Okay. So the current Depicting the Invisible exhibit about PTSD focuses on some of the daily and lifelong challenges veterans face. What has been the reaction so far to the powerful stories that veterans so bravely shared in this exhibit?
The reaction is kind of universally, a wow. And so these are 14 portraits, and let's say, for the sake of things, they're 8 feet by 10 feet. So they're framed or set up. They're a mix between black and white and just a little bit of color, but the backdrop is black because Susan J. Barron, the artist and photographer that put this together, wanted that stark reality. And then there are pictures, the eyes in the pictures, no matter where you stand in the room, they're looking right at you. And so it captures you. And then in their own words, they describe, on the black, it's handwritten, inked in white handwriting. I deployed to RAF, I went on a patrol, Operation Iraqi Freedom, I went on a patrol, we hit a pothole, the pothole exploded, and then some of the things that they've done to get through their PTSD, or some of the things that they do to get through even the day. And so it's a riveting and a reality exhibit. And I would tell you that you can come upstairs and go through our 14 alcoves and hear the stories of veterans. And those are real and uplifting and as they journey through their time in service and afterwards. And for about 5 months, we had We the People portraits by Mary White, and they were total watercolors, total 50 portraits, totally uplifting. So you're going to see all, sort of the taste great, less filling in the middle ground of the veteran experience when you come.
That sounds really interesting.
It is. Yeah, thank you.
And I think there's a lot of stories to be told that, I think people don't even realize what's happened, what people have been through. You hear a little bit from families, but sometimes they don't want to talk about it. So having a place where people can appreciate where people, that journey, I think is important.
Exactly right. And in fact, we hear every week. So we are open right now. We are open, everybody. And we are strong, and we are connecting, and we're impacting lives. So come and see us, or come to one of our virtual tours or virtual events. But we hear mostly the feedback we get, and we get it now online as well, are things like, hey, my brother was kind of messed up, but he's doing much better now that he's come through there. Or the really cool things like, hey, granddad is walking with grandson and mom is walking behind her father. And she turns and looks to me and says, he's never told us any of those stories. So as we go through the alcoves, they get to open up to their grandson or their son or their such and such. And that connection, that family bond gets even stronger. And you know, our pillars of our mission are to honor veterans, their service and sacrifice. So honor, connect America to veterans and veterans to America. Inspire everyone to acts in a life bigger than self, and then educate our K through 12. And so just in a walk through it, you know, we have um, a group in today from El Araya in near Cleveland, you know, the Baptist church there. And they'll spread out into groups of 3, and one will be a vet and 2 aren't. And, you know, they've been going to church together probably for 50, 60 years, and they're up there exploring and sharing. It's very cool.
So seeing that, right, what seems to surprise the visitors the most that are not military?
So it's a museum like few, all right?
Yeah.
We might say like none other, but like few. And so the storytelling within is done by a guy named Ralph Applebaum, who did the African American Museum, the Holocaust Museum, the Museum, and many others. It's the best in the world. He was hired to do this. And he set up 14 alcoves that are 10 feet by 3 feet deep by 10 feet. And the backside of each one, there's a flat screen of almost everyone. There's a flat screen with videos from about 7 or 8 of the 25 selected veterans. Now, in there, they tell the story of the journey that I mentioned earlier. So, A Nation Called, Why We Serve. For instance, Brian Vargas, a young Latino guy from LA, his dad was a Marine. And Brian said, if I didn't join the Marines, I could never be a man in our house. Or Jasmine, who was a single mom in college, so she went to ROTC so she would have certainty of a career to take care of her young boy, who's now in the Air Force. So she served in the Army. So then it's leaving home, the next alcove, then it's basic training, and then it's deployments. We have an exhibit for Tuskegee Airmen. Then it's where in the world everyone served, then combat operations, and then letters home, and then coming home, and then transition. So people who come in about the 4th alcove, they're like, wow, I did not expect this.
Right.
And what's really cool about it, Michelle, is that because about 8 or 9 tell their story for each theme, right, in these thematic alcoves. If you stagger your next visit, you'll see, because you probably see about 3 or 4 before you get what the alcove's about.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see 7. So the next time you come, you'll hear the themes are the same, but a different story, because you'll be more online with another series. Or if you stay at one for 10 minutes and one at 3 minutes, you're going to hit so there's a lot of variety. And then our traveling exhibits like Beyond the Invisible,
Mm-hmm.
or our guests and our guest programs like Veteran Voices or Virtual Rally Point, or field trips for kids, or virtual field trips we're now doing.
Okay.
So we're doing field trips. We've done field trips to Sacramento, to Monterey, California, Pennsylvania, and up in the great state of Michigan.
So what's your vision for the future of the facility?
Well, I came from Columbus, Georgia, to Columbus, Ohio, to be the founding president and CEO. My vision is to impact as many lives as we can, and to never be called, without offending anyone, but to never be called the old vets. To pump life into here, and to expand coast to coast and north to south. And there's so much growth and opportunity, and to be the platform that can take on any of the major and contemporary issues besetting our veteran population, as well as besetting our nation. Our Inspired Youth series, Michelle, we ran our pilot 3 times now, and we'll grow it from there. Has high schoolers police, other first responders, and veterans talking about all these things that are happening in our streets. And until you get people to have that national conversation, get off of Twitter, get off of social media, and be, you know, we would say in my army, listening close, where you are understanding the person in front of you. You know, how can it be that high school varsity uh, linebackers and the best pitcher on the team, when they put on a police uniform a few years later, that suddenly they're a villain? So we got to get that conversation. We've got great support from the mayor's office, um, the Franklin County commissioners, and everyone else. And now we're getting major donors, sponsors, so we can do, you know, in the next year, our Inspire Youth Series, we may have 5 cities worth of high schools. Or maybe that relationship with Mr. Denzel Washington has a major summit here. And we're leading the way with how youth can lead into the future.
So you're really educating the future of the military and the population, general population.
That's what, yeah, for sure.
That's pretty important. So then are you looking to do like the whole state outreach, or are you looking to go beyond the state of Ohio, or?
Oh yeah, beyond the state for sure. But you know, one of the things that I enjoy is watching young people thrive. And so they'll ask me all the time, General, how do you want to do this? And I tell them the same answer every time: invent it. You invent it. Have you ever had a job where you got to invent everything? You probably have.
Yes.
Not most people. Not most people. So what is the Inspire Youth series going to look like in 5 years? Unlimited opportunity, unlimited potential. And I have some young men and women that'll, so first you can evolve, and then you can be a disruptive innovator, and you can leap it forward. So once we know in business, you know, remember I ran all the Army bases around the world. I ran 75 cities around the world. And so business is a part of what we do here at the National Veterans Memorial, and how we go about thriving despite this pandemic. But so I think we'll have a national summit each year. We will link these kids to each other. So they're so social media and tech savvy that when they come and meet, you know, 50 really, or 200 really, you know, smart people, and we have the year group of 2020, and then 2021, and then 2022. As they go to college and they stay connected, as they go into professional lives, doctors, lawyers, family business like police and fire departments and military, that now America's getting connected to each other by way of a single platform called the National Veterans Memorial Museum.
I think that's wonderful. That's a legacy that not many people can say.
But it's going to be some work, but we're not afraid of it.
So when you engage with the younger folks and the veterans, what has inspired you the most in your role?
In this role now?
Yeah.
This role is very similar to many times in a military person's life, and certainly in my life, because about every 3rd year, you are moved from one place in the Army to another. You might get promoted, and then you get a bigger job, a larger command. So to me, what I love about the youth is this optimism that they have, and this idealism that they have. And what I love is to try to measure up as a senior leader to what they expect a senior leader to be. I talk with them about their role in demonstrating inspired leadership. Everyone I hired, we talked to them about this. And actually, everyone I hired, I told them, everyone I interviewed, I told, go home and tell whoever loves you that I gave you a standing ovation at the end of this job interview. And then when you show up to work, I want you to slam the car door and run to your desk, because you get to take care of the most important people, you know, among the most important people, certainly our responsibility, veterans and their families and the like, in the world. And so, and I tell them in demonstrating inspired leadership, do what's right. Always do what's right. Do your best. Don't try to be the best. we can't have a solid NVMM team if we have someone trying to be better than the other person, right? So be a magnificent leader by doing your best and doing what's right. Improve daily. Build teams. Be a member of a team. Be a good team. And then take care of the little guy. Often it's the person that comes up to the desk in our guest services, but often it's one of our own employees. And then never quit. And so that when I get to see the youth, we can imprint these as a part of the culture. Now we got through COVID so successfully because we began with building culture, getting the right people on the bus, get them in the right seat, and then challenging them to innovate, and then developing them along the way, so that if they learn to this level, then what's 6 months from now? We can't allow complacency to rest. So we have a blast every week, and at the end of every week, we do the end of week meeting where everyone must bring at least one win of the week. So we got our entire staff, and it started when me and two people were here, because when I was hired, they said, General, two things you want to do. One is you want to hire your team because you're the only one we've hired, and two, you open in 138 days. So this whole startup we got to do, but because we began with the end in mind, start on purpose, then the culture was, the team was ready. All we ever talk about is innovation and creativity, and how else would you want to do it? So then when COVID hit, so we're not going to close, we're just going to change the way that we connect people and impact lives.
So fundraising with corporations and public support, can you speak to how important that is with your, just trying to operate in general?
Absolutely. That's, people always say it's a play on words, in general, to the general. Yeah. So first of all, the National Veterans Memorial Museum was signed into law by the president in 2018 as the one and only National Veterans Memorial and Museum. At the same time, no federal funding was provided or has been provided. At the same time, no state funding has been provided or is planned. And so that means we have ticketing and parking and earned revenue, and you know how that diminished during COVID. So then we have fundraising and advancement and grants and the like. So the key to us was to create programming that someone thinks is really awesome and it's for real. It really does impact. The key to us was to get involved in the community as well. So programs like Veteran Voices, where we bring in inspiring veterans. Tomorrow we'll do Operation Eagle Claw, which was the first special operation mission into Iran to save the Iran captives. And we'll have one Delta Force operator, one of the Rangers on the ground, and the guy who invented satellite communication for the military to talk about how that. So that Veteran Voices now, to the point is sponsors can say, I want that to say powered by, you name it, Baker Creative, right? And so you get credit for helping us, we get credit for helping others. Then we have Rally Point, which began as a brunch here, and then we went virtual Rally Point. So instead of 100 people, we have 3,100 now. So
wow.
Rally Point been sponsored by Ancova in the past. So, and then we have the virtual field trips. So if you want to be a sponsor to field trips, so the underserved kids who could never afford to come to the NVMM virtually, then the companies can reach to us and do that as well. And then a really slick thing is point of sale campaign. So Big Lots put on their cash registers, Bruce Thorne, their CEO and friend and former Army paratrooper, said, yeah, we'll say you want to add $1. You'll see it at Giant Eagle for Food Bank and all that. So a lot of companies out there who are retailers can join us Memorial Weekend and Veterans Weekend. So for about a 3-week period, and just allow America, the people who the museum stands for, to donate. It's such a win-win. We have all the different marketing material up there. It says Big Lots and NVMM are working together to build programming and impacting lives. veterans in our community. And so we're working several other points of sales, Reichert Ford and other Ford dealers. We're working with them, and Rocky Brand Boots, an Ohio-based company that does awesome boots for people in and out of the military. So those are most of the ways, and then we're open. So we had a fantastic Ford Oval of Honor ceremony where veterans, it's almost like a Veterans Hall of Fame ceremony this Sunday. And so we had tables and delicious chow and people clapping and crying and all of that. So if the people who hear this want to bring their team back and do stand-up socials, to do awards banquets, to do recognition ceremonies, board meetings, we have a very, very flexible facility and open and clean and conforming to the needs still during this COVID period.
So you have a lot of responsibility from here in this role, but also historically with all the missions and all the folks that you've been in charge of. What kind of legacy would you like to leave behind?
I think the legacy is those who you get to lead, and all of the great leaders that we've seen or we've worked for, they impacted us a little bit, and we saw that came from the time I was with General Austin, that came from John Branch, that came from, this guy's military spouse was so fantastic. So it's not always, somebody working for. So I would just hope that my legacy is that that I've touched the lives of people in a positive way, and that I never let them down as the leader they expected, that I said I would be, and that they expected from me. And that's good enough. All I want is fond memories.
Oh, that's wonderful. I thank you so much for your time and sharing your story.
If you're interested in learning more, visit our website at bakercreative.co.